Hello there, everyone. My name is James Boldin. I'm the horn professor at the University of Louisiana, Monroe, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Set 1 All-State Etudes. The first one we're going to talk about is Kopprasch, number 19 in G major. I like the tempo of dotted quarter equals 60 to about 63. That keeps it from getting so fast that it gets frantic. It allows you to focus really clearly on making the articulations as pristine as you can and giving it a lot of dynamic contrast, which is what I like to hear in Kopprasch. Make sure you're keeping your left hand nice and loose. It gets more difficult to keep things nice and tension-free as you get further along into the piece. It's really good to practice it in small amounts, 4 measures at a time, maybe working backwards from the end. One thing I like students to do is to slur it all. So for instance, at the beginning, you might play it like this. Then you might change the articulations. And so on and so forth, being just as creative as you'd like. Buzzing difficult intervals on the mouthpiece and singing them, playing them at the piano can be very helpful for you. Next, we're going to talk about Shoemaker Etude number 24, also in set 1 of the LMEA All-State Etudes. I like this one just a little bit faster than quarter equals 50. Quarter equals 50 just makes it very difficult to make the phrases in one breath. I think that's a good tempo to aspire to for learning to train one's breathing. But in performance, I think if you go just a little bit faster, quarter equals 54, I think that's probably going to be okay. I like the following breath marks. At the end of measure 9, take a really big breath so you can make it all the way to the end of beat 3 in measure 12. And then in measure 13, again, after beat 4, so you can make it through that long phrase. In measure 15, con abbandono, I interpret that as rubato, with some freedom, with some abandon. And then in the very next measure in 16, portando, that literally means carrying, but I think a good interpretation of that term would be legato. So make sure that you are playing those very legato in measure 16, and that pretty much goes for the entire etude. This is a very lyrical, melodic, expressive etude. The accents are, think of them more like air accents instead of really hard tongue accents. Subdivide all the time, especially on long notes. And one method that I have my students use to practice pieces like this is to play the subdivisions. So for instance, at the beginning, I'm going to play all the 16 subdivisions. I think that's a really good way to keep your air moving through the sustained notes, and also to keep you really honest in terms of where you're feeling the beat and the pulse.